And before anything else, let me say that I really have gained the respect for my competitors, if I can call it that, the other candidates. I think that everybody brought what is their A game, and so that you know what they brought to the table and what I brought to the table. And you already know this, but I'd be really remiss if I did not, again, remind you of my experience working with the Democratic Party. Taking a national viewpoint for a moment, it's almost a certainty that the Democrats will prevail nationally. What that means is that many of the things that we are now concerned about, such as this idiotic, and I'll just call it what it is, this idiotic attempt to push us back when we were just post colonial, to take away our birthright. I think that guy's a friggin' idiot. I think he's a damn racist. And I would hope that the people who vote for him see that and do not return him to the United States Congress. There's no place for that. And I think that he is just trying to appease all of the persons in power now by being even more of a racist than they are. It's like a competition. How are you going to now say because someone has a child in a United States territory that they're not an American? When you take advantage of what we do and what we have, and you pay no mind to the veterans who have lost their lives on foreign shores, who have come back altered from having experienced war, when we have been amongst the fiercest and most loyal soldiers you can have anywhere. Don't get me started. But within this, it exposes another dark side, whereas our veterans do not still have the facilities that we should here in the Virgin Islands. Now, if you know anything about me, you do know that I do my research, I do my homework. And right now, there's money available for us to apply for, excuse me, to build these long needed veteran facilities here in the territory. Now, I'm saying facilities, not facility. The St. Thomas veterans deserve a place where they can go, as do the St. Croix veterans. And I think it should be built. Well, the National Guard Armory is so close. It could be there. It could be by the Roy Lester Snyder, because there will be some construction going on. But we need to have a deeper focus on what we do with those that need our assistance. Now, I really want to come on today and make sure that I gave you my take on what's happened with our VA Housing Finance Authority. Now, you have been here with me for months. And the one thing that I kept hammering was the fact that, and let me just claim it, that when I become your delegate to Congress, that I already have an MOU prepared to sign with the next governor of the Virgin Islands so that my office, along with his office, his or her office, can go ahead and keep track of the federal funds. It is negligent to get the funds and then not monitor the funds. It's the same thing as I see as making a child and not caring for the child. I don't see any difference in that. And I think that right now the people of the Virgin Islands are going to pay the price for that, because I read the 13-page HUD letter. I read the footnotes, and I will tell you that they did not miss a step. They did not miss a step in detailing the missteps, the financial malfeasance, the TFIN, let's just call it what it is, the TFIN. They have it all. And there's an investigation right now. And I don't think that we're done with the indictments and the trials and the convictions. I really don't think we're done because these things could not have happened were there not some sort of greater conspiracy. And I'll tell you why I say that. And it may appear as though I'm kicking someone when they're down, but just because you kick someone when they're down don't mean they don't deserve it. And in this case, when we go through years and years and years of this, you really have to wonder. And my sense of sympathy and empathy doesn't apply here. I am just as upset and embarrassed as every other well-meaning Virgin Islander. Now, I'll get back to the monitoring of the money in a minute, but I have to say this. My father had his own business, and I remember us waiting unnecessarily to get paid after we put money out to buy what was needed to do this work for the government. I used to beg my father not to work for this government. But the thing that gets me is that if small businesses or businesses, period, that provide service to the people of the Virgin Islands through this government and did it the right way, not no backhand, no backroom contract. They bid for it, they were awarded, they did the work satisfactorily, and those people can't get paid in a timely fashion. But the person who put together a scheme gets paid like that. Make it make sense. Let me say it again. How is that the person with the business license, this, that, the other, bid for a job? They are awarded the contract. And then they turn around and they can't get paid on the completion. Now, when you award a contract, the money has to be there. Okay? You can't award a contract without the money. But the person who is scheming, their checks come early. Make it make sense. Okay? And the reason why I'm saying this is that it is about time that we take off the gloves and we deal with these folks the way they are supposed to be dealt with, because they're injuring future generations of Virgin Islanders. And that brings me back to my point about the delegate office working with the next governor to make certain that these federal funds are spent expeditiously. And I mean now. And again, like I said in the last debate, which I didn't think was good at all, the one from WTJX, because you can't ask me a question for 3 minutes with 5 parts and then give me 90 seconds to answer. You can't answer a complex question in 90 seconds, but then you make it seem like the person doesn't know what they're doing because you have to ask follow-up. Yes, of course, guys, you only gave me 90 seconds. It's irritating. Anyway, so I'm saying that, and again, I'm claiming it, my office, when you elect me, will select perhaps 3 people and then let the governor select 3 persons to have a joint office for federal funds. Send these folks to Insular Affairs. We're under Insular Affairs. And let them train them on how you handle grant funds, or let me just say funding from the federal government, and assign them departments. This will be all they do. Make sure that the RFPs aren't stacked. That's request for a proposal. Make sure they're not stacked. Make sure that it's done correctly and according to the guidelines, rules, and regulations contained in that grant, so that nobody gets slipped in on top of the list. Make sure everybody is licensed. Make certain that the work is done in the right time frame, and if not, call a meeting, a high-level meeting, to explain to this agency, this new office, why, for the delegate to know what to say and not be blindsided. We have to become professional in what we do. When screw ups like this happens, nobody in the federal government is sorry for you. They just take the money back. People here have been saying that the layman understands that. Why not the people who have the responsibility to do this? And that brings me to something else that I said, because I want you guys to realize that my saying this is not a result of what happened Monday. I have been saying this from the beginning of this campaign. I've been saying it privately longer than that, because we have to grow up at some point. We have to act like grown-ups. You want to be treated like grown-ups, you act like a grown-up. That's simple. That is simple. So the other part of it is that we have to be ready prior to a disaster. We have to be ready for when it comes, so that you don't now have to go. If you could do a real building assessment, and you look at the electrical and you look at the weak points, be it windows, doors, a crack in the roof, whatever. When a hurricane does come, you already have a starting point to assess the damage. The other part of that is that we need our own price list. I can tell you, because I am the one that was charged under the leadership of Lawrence Bryan in St. Thomas and Jose Judge at OMB to do the first damage assessment surveys and put those packages together. And we had to ask an abeyance. Look at this now. We had to look at an abeyance for every single building, because the prices that FEMA had were averages of stateside prices. Anybody who's bought materials or looked at what you can get in the States versus what you can buy here for construction, you know is 30% higher, perhaps even more so now. So we have to have those things ready. We have to have our own price list. And at the inception of the disaster, you sit down and you have to look at them and say, listen, this is your price list, but this is what we pay locally. We cannot expect them to know what we pay locally, because after all, it's an emergency. But we have to show that up front. So if you can show that up front, that is the price that will be used. So the whole thing about, well, it was this, it was that, you should have been ready. You should know what the weaknesses are in your buildings. You should already have scenarios where you act as though it's already happened and you have everything lined up. But we don't do that. Now, this is in no way an excuse. In no way an excuse for what has happened. You see? Because what I see is that people just didn't take the job seriously. Overall, I understand that there were some things that had to have been amended, you had to speak about, but you should have been ready. It was a bad hurricane, trust me, but it wasn't our first hurricane. And perhaps this should be why we need to give public works back the power public works used to have. Because if we could do it right many, many years ago. Oh, I do have a call. Good morning.
Good morning, my comrade in arms. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
Doing well. I see you come out blazing. You don't take off the gloves then.
It's time. It's time. I don't like what's happening. And you know I've been talking about this for a minute.
Exactly. Exactly. And what you say is so true. And I know that you know this. comes to soldiers lost in a combat area, the Virgin Islands per capita. And I stress per capita because when I tell some people we lost more soldiers than any state, they say, no, that can't be. Per capita is an objective word.
That's right. That's right. No, go ahead, please.
Population.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you believe. I graduated in the class of 65 from CAHS.
Okay.
And we lost 7 from our graduated class in the monsoon rain of Vietnam.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I was tired going to funerals.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Now they will ask you where I was.
And your class was what? Maybe your class was maybe 35 people?
No, my graduating class was the largest graduating class in St. Thomas at that time that we could not graduate in the auditorium. We graduated in Lionel Roberts Stadium.
Oh, man. Wow. I hear you.
Yeah. 350 of us.
Oh, man. I hear you. That's a good class. That's a good class size.
Yep. But you know, the thing is this, and you're so right, the Virgin Islands, and I'm not necessarily going to fall down to the person in charge of the Veterans Affairs right now. I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if anything, I will tell him to do not listen to nobody will tell him no nonsense, but Trump ain't giving fuck. There is fun knocking down for veterans.
And that's the same thing I started with, because I keep track of these things. Even as someone I constantly keep track of these things.
Right.
And go ahead.
As you know, Emmett, in any federal program, veterans have first preference.
Yeah.
And we are billing right now. We are taking homeless veterans off the streets, cleaning them up, and building them what we call a small house. They call it a little house.
Yes. I
mean, the money is there.
The money is there, but I don't see the will. I don't see the focus on that. Because Mr. Nipsey, one thing that we don't have is the sympathy is there amongst the majority of the populace, but I have not seen the will amongst the administrations, which is why I am saying to all of our people, this is something that I have been talking about throughout every show I've ever had, way back when I was doing topics for WTJX.
Yeah.
Again, when I was on Caribbean Country and saying the same thing, you know, that morning show on the other station. I've written editorials about this. This is an emotional thing for me.
Of course, it has to be.
You know, like many of the local families, all my elders that could serve did so. I had an uncle that spent 40 years in the Navy.
Oh my God, that's a lifetime.
Pastor Wilfred DeGrasse, my mother's brother.
Wow.
You know, and on my father's side, Earl Hansen is in Arlington. Never met him. He passed before I was born.
Okay.
Everybody have a copy of their DD-214, your discharge papers. Everybody was honorable. My uncle John DeGrasse, who just passed last December. John was probably all of 5'3" and was a paratrooper. A hell of a fellow, all of them.
Hey, let me tell you, Virgin Island soldiers have been in some of the most critical, what you call it, like military term, but I can't remember right now, but meaning they have the toughest job.
Yes, always.
When you talk about paratroopers, and when you talk about the tank company, Hell on Wheels.
Yep.
And First Army. I mean, those people and Marines that hit the beach. I mean, these guys are afraid of nothing, man.
And the thing is that they always took, as you mentioned, correctly so, a disproportionate number of combat soldiers from all the territories.
Right.
But they don't talk about the fact that when they went into the army and they were in Mississippi and Louisiana, how they
Mm-hmm.
were treated.
Yep. All right.
Okay? That if they go off base, there's a fight. If they stay on base, there's a fight.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. People don't talk about how they were treated.
Exactly.
And
I
what
mean,
was
it was such a shame.
and what was done to the food.
Oh boy.
All right. Even though
You
that
know,
wasn't my time, I sit and I listen and I learn.
right. And I'll give someone else a chance, but let me go by say this. I mean, you mentioned all your male folks, and I don't know if there was any that's female, but we have, of course, female soldiers as well.
Absolutely.
And I lost a daughter. She fought in Iraq and Afghanistan,
Hmm.
and she came home all a mess. And of course, she finally died of PTSD. I had a brother also who was in the Air Force. He was a master sergeant and a flight squadron.
Okay.
He too came home a mess. He used to be in the streets. He was saying he drunk. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't drunk. He just was messed up. Okay. And he died
God,
of
my
PTSD.
condolences. And say the last thing you said.
Huh?
The last thing you said, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, no, I said that some folks were saying the street making promote and he drunk, he had drunk. No, he was not. He was messed up. PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
post traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, which is real.
Oh, Christ, more than real.
Yes.
Anyway, I'll continue to listen and let you go on
Thank you for always being there. I appreciate you.
all the time. Thank you.
All right then.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there you have a testimonial about what our people go through. And I think it's time that and I'm pledging to you that I will do this. You've heard this from me before, but I think that along with what's going on presently, that it bears repeating. See, to use that analogy that goes along with what Mr. Nib said, just because your office is in Washington, you cannot forget the people that you've left in the Virgin Islands. They are supposed to be the reason you're there. It's like going to war if you're deployed. Remember, our National Guard troops were deployed. Some were deployed for a year to Cuba, to Guantanamo. Do you understand? Just because it's peacetime and you don't hear about it doesn't mean that they don't have to go. My unit, the PAD unit, Public Affairs Detachment, once was deployed to Estonia when they had a war that nobody wrote about. Now I didn't make that trip because of a vaccination issue, and you had to have them by a certain time. So I couldn't make that trip. But I'm telling you, we have more Virgin Islanders deployed than you think. And you don't know what you're going to meet when you get there. So one of my biggest fears is that we will be able to get the money and that someone who doesn't do their job, sitting in an air-conditioned office with a couple papers to move every day, does not do their job, and the opportunity to take care of our veterans is lost. Again, my listenership, you've heard me say this from back in January when I started sitting in here on Saturdays with Chairwoman Bob. These are the things that we need. It's no longer a time for us to take what we get and look at a pile of money and say, "Ooh, we're doing well." No, we have to be intentional. We have to be directed. We have to be focused on what we need and then be the stewards of what we get. This thing that has happened with housing finance was inevitable from how they handle the money. It was inevitable because how many people went on to the slice thing, Envision, and never got anything done? When you look at the numbers of completions, it is embarrassing. And I beg all of you, download the letter, ask a friend to do it if you're not capable, meaning that you don't have the computer, you don't have a printer, and these sorts of things. For your own good, look at these things so that you understand how we can be better, because that should be the ultimate choice everyone makes that choice every day to be better, because we deserve your best. You see what I'm saying? Let me say it again. Everyone working for our government has a right to say, today I'll be better than tomorrow. And it is because the people of the Virgin Islands deserve your best. I don't know how else to say that. We deserve your best. People cannot rank attendance with your best. I don't like when people tell me, well, I get to work every day, so I'm a good employee. You're a good employee if you give your best every day. Not if you're there every day, because I've been in offices where people come late and the first thing you got to do is run out and get breakfast. And that takes 45 minutes to an hour. And then when you come, you got to eat your breakfast. And then you're on your phone. And you haven't opened up your desk or your file drawer yet. That's not your best. That's not your best. You just marking time. You just marking time. You're not giving us your best. But in regard to having to go and to negotiate after this, oh, it's not going to be easy, because the detail to which this letter went, and you know the thing that got me, now I have seen probably over 1 million letters and files in my life. Probably over 1 million in my working lifetime. But I will tell you, I have never seen a letter like this, where if they say you didn't do this, when you look to the bottom of the page, I have footnotes saying exactly what they're talking about, according to this audit, according to that. And there's no way to refute that. And in only 30 days, I don't see, because they've been asking for better for years. And I don't understand how this was missed. That should have been a cause for concern. It really should have been a cause for concern. So I don't see how anyone could justify not making the changes that were necessary and not filling the positions with people who could do the work. And we have a phone call. Good morning.
Yeah, Emmett, I need to ask you a question.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I heard you call the name DeGraff as family members. Are they the same DeGraff from St. Thomas?
No, I don't. Well, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And the reason why I say that is because it's a bigger family than I thought. But if it's DeGraff from Sandy Point, St. Kitts, more than likely.
Okay, well, I don't know where the DeGraff from St. Thomas go back to. I was Portion DeGraff, he used to sing with different bands.
Mm-hmm.
But as you mentioned, that there was the one that's senator now, the one that is a senator now, I just know of him because he's younger than me, even though we are from Savannah together.
Oh, you're talking about Dwayne DeGraff?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's my high school classmate.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and you know, and he's DeGraff and I'm DeGrasse. But when we were much younger, people used to think we were brothers or cousins or something. But
Okay.
here's the thing that he and I used to joke about back in the day when people used to write with fountain pen.
Yes.
If you look at the B and the D, they were
Yeah.
practically the same, and the S and the F were
Uh-huh.
written the same way as well.
Yes, sir. That was great penmanship.
Yes, yes. So having said that, I'll say that I think Senator BeGraff is a hell of a guy, and we've been friends from 1977.
Okay.
So
Well,
I will gladly take him as family.
yeah, right. Well, as I said, I know his elder brother that he served in the Air Force in Vietnam with my brother.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay.
and we are from Savannah, but then being the older one, I know them more than I know him, you
Yes,
see.
yes, yes.
His
Yeah,
sisters, Janice, and the rest of them.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah,
And he had a distinguished career not only as an officer in VIPD, but also in the National Guard. We're in the National Guard together as well. Different units, but
good,
at
good,
the
good.
same
Yeah.
time. Good man, good man.
Okay, well, I didn't know that much of him. I know him as a police,
Yes.
high-ranking officer, but I didn't know that he was in the National Guard as well.
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
even know you was in the National Guard either.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah,
I was the
yeah.
lead. I was the lead person after Hugo, um, because actually I was working for Lieutenant Governor Hodge. So
Okay,
being the man on the ground, I was both the person for the National Guard and the government because the other folks weren't here. They were in
right,
St. Thomas, and then there's really nowhere for them to come and stay, and even getting here was a problem.
right.
Yes.
Now, when you mentioned a while ago, and rightly so, when you pick up Lawrence Bryant and
Mm-hmm. And
who was
Jose
the one in the
Judge.
yes, in the budget office.
Yes.
I also like to give a big up to Nellan Bory.
Oh yes, yes, of
And the
course.
reason I say that because I was, even though I was assistant commissioner of housing at the time, I was what I would say appointed by the not by the governor because the governor appointed Julio Brady as the GAR, the governor's authorized representative.
Yes.
Brady tell me, say, Fonzo, I got too much work to do, so I put it on you. You know about the answer. So he put it on me and I accepted it.
Yes.
You
Yes.
see?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work to do in impact assessment and all these things. You got to know what you're doing.
You do.
Right. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do the National Guard in the island, but I did the National Guard in the state of Georgia
Okay.
and rose to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel aide de camp.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's high. That's high air.
Yeah, well, I'm a big boy.
That's right.
Yeah. No, but it's all good. But we say that things and you face as well to show the youngsters they can do the same thing or even better than what we did.
Yes. There are more
Yeah,
opportunities, more areas.
exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, I'll listen again.
Okay. Well, listen. As always, I appreciate the knowledge.
Yeah, well, I got it, so I got to share it.
That's right. There you go. There you
Okay.
go. Okay then. Take care.
Okay.
Yes. So anyway, let me reiterate what I was saying because this is important and I really don't want you to forget this. Going forward in this election, so this is such a crucial crossroad in the history of the Virgin Islands that we really need to be careful about the persons that we put in charge because this right now going through the campaign trail and I paid attention to every race, every single one, and I can tell you that what I see is educated, well-intended persons, but I'm not seeing folks that have plans. I have given you plans on how we can make things better, such as the agreement for the delegate and the next governor to work more closely together. And again, I'm going to keep reminding you today that I have said this continuously, that the cat fighting has to stop. This begging for credit and I did it, no, I did it, no, I did it, no. No, we don't have time for that. The Virgin Islands public is begging for help in areas where there should be help because the things that have been stopped as a result of this negligence and inefficiency is going to affect virtually everyone. We have to look at things like getting the United States government to more closely patrol our shoreline. You've heard me say this for God knows how long, from the time they said, oh, look, our new cutter. And by the way, it's going to Puerto Rico. However, there was a fisherman lost from St. Thomas. But who found him? VIPD. VIPD is who found the fisherman and saved his life, more than likely. It was not the Coast Guard because they're 100 miles away from St. Croix, at least. I think it's something like maybe 60, 70 miles from St. Thomas. I'm not sure. But I noticed 100 miles from St. Croix, which bolsters my argument that the cutter that you said was ours should be in our territory. That's what people call a no-brainer. If it's not my car, if it park in your house and you have to keep, then it's not my car, it's your car, right? It's simple. We have to be more intentional in our acts. We have a caller. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
Yes.
Do you know it's Miss who is this?
This is Emmett Hansen. Did you call the show or did you call the station?
Oh, I called the station.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'll let
Okay.
them pick up the call.
Okay.
And you have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you, dear.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yes. So what I'm saying is that I have plans because I have paid attention to the budget process and I see where we have opportunities. And as I said in one of the debates, I'm not going to Washington to pick fight with nobody. We are too small for that, and our needs are too great. If it takes me having, now, most of these things come through the departments. But if I were invited to speak with President Trump, despite being a lifelong Democrat, I am going, and I'm not going to pick fight with the man. He's the president of the United States. It's like being a child and your parents have a problem with a neighbor. You better say good morning, good afternoon, good night. You don't get in that. This applies here as well. Not having a vote, I'm not saying to be friends with everybody because there's some people there who are just despicable. Absolutely despicable. Lindsey Graham wanted us to kill people just because of a political difference. I would never go along with that, nor would I ever seek to be friends with that person. Work is work, because I don't go to work to make friends nor enemies. But there are some people you know to stay from. And that is how I live. If I know you that type of person, I am staying from you. Because you ain't going to get me into that. But for the needs of the people, again, I don't go to work to make friends nor enemies. Work is not personal. Okay? Out in the street, I could choose to walk around you. At work, if I'll work with you, because that's what I do. So anyway, the madam reached. So listen, I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank you for your attention throughout this political season. I'll see you next Wednesday. This is Emmett Hansen of the Hansen Digest signing off. You guys take care. Remember, number one on the ballot, número uno de su papeleta. Adios.
The day
I done with you today.
is your day.